Good morning, my dear girls. Today is Sunday, and as usual, on Sundays we have a recorded lesson. This time we are going to talk about bees. Get your workbooks and open the page 37. But before we start reading or listening, let's look through some words. These are kinds of honey bees. As you know, there can be a queen bee and workers and drones. Today we are going to read about queen bee and about bee workers. In general, a queen bee and workers are female, she أو هي, and drone bees are male, هو. Sometimes bee can sting or hurt people with its sting. A word sting can be a noun and it can be a verb. It is an irregular verb and it has three forms: sting, stung, stung. Also, we are going to read about pollination. So this is the process in which pollen, look at the face of the bee. It has some pollen, in which pollen is taken from one plant or part of a plant to another so that new plants, seeds, can be produced. So let's read this word again. Pollination. Pollination. Flowers, except for pollen, have also some nectar. Nectar. It is a sweet liquid produced by flowers and collected by bees and other insects. nectar. يعني البولن هذا بيشبه الغبرة ونكتر هذا بيشبه الإشي هيك سائل. Bees live in hive. So what is hive? It is a structure where bees live, either built by people or made by bees themselves. يعني المكان سكان البيز بيتهم ممكن لو هم لحالهم بعملوا أو الناس بعملوهم من الخشب. هيك بيت الخشب تبعت النخل. Let's read it again. Hive. Hive. Bees make some honey which is stored inside honeycomb. Look at this shape. It is a honeycomb. And this honeycomb consists of wax cells. You see these small shapes? These are wax cells. Now you are going to listen to the article about bees. But before listening, please look at these questions, because your task will be to prepare a 2-minute audio or video recording answering to these questions. So let's read them first. What have you learned about bees after reading the text or listening? This is exactly that we are going to listen now. And the second question, how do people benefit from bees? يعني كيف الناس بيستفيدوا من النحل. How can bees be classified according to their roles in their hive? Do you remember the word classify? So how can they be classified? I've showed you a picture of some classes of bees, but when you read the text or when you listen to the text, you will know more roles of bees in the hive. Now please get your workbooks and follow the text with me. Don't forget to write down all the new words in your copybooks. لا تنسوا تكتبوا كل كلمة جديدة على الدفتر. So let's start reading about the bees. Bees. Most people hate bees, but I'm sympathetic. Being stung by a bee is surprisingly painful for such a tiny little thing. They said bees are vitally important. They are responsible for 1. Pollination. Do you remember about the pollination? About 1/3 of all the plants eaten or used by humans are pollinated by bees. Without bees, many of our crops would fail and we would be confronted by an awful, terrible, food shortage. Our livestock also depend on food taken from bee-pollinated fields. Thus, a shortage of bees would mean a global shortage of food. Aside from crops, bees are also responsible for the pollination of flowers. The vibrant color of a flower serves as an attraction for bees. Had it not been for the need to tempt bees to pollinate them, flowers wouldn't be as colorful as they are. So here we have some Q1, Q2 and Q3. These are abbreviations for the questions. We have the questions and you are supposed to answer to this question. For example, what are bees responsible for? So you may find the answer near these abbreviations. يعني Q1 هذا الجواب للسؤال واحد. أول. And the second, how many plants are pollinated by bees? كمان تقدروا تلاقوا الجواب لهذا السؤال وفي كمان خطوط تحت الكلمات لونهم برتقالي كمان بساعدوكم عشان تجاوبوا الصحيح. So let's see what else the bees are responsible for. And it's honey. Bees use the nectar they collect from flowers to make honey. They do this by flying home to their hives and vomiting and re-eating nectar repeatedly. When the nectar has been partially digested, after a number of vomiting eating cycles, the unfinished honey is thrown up one last time into one of the wax cells that form the hive's honeycomb structure. At this stage, the honey is still fairly fluid, containing much more water than we are used to. To hasten the evaporation of this excess water and to thicken the honey, the bees collectively fan their wings, creating a draft. Draft, it is a current of air. زي هوا. بعملوا هوا. Over the mini vat of honey. Once the honey has thickened sufficiently, the wax cell is sealed. The honey can now be stored almost indefinitely. Each bee will produce only a 1/12 of a teaspoon's worth in its whole lifetime. Now let's read about bee society. طريقة كيف تسكنوا النحل. The most fascinating and engaging feature of bees is their complex, يعني مش سهل, مش simple, and fascinating social life. The colony may consist of as many as 80,000 bees, and they are one big family. A colony consists mainly of worker bees. These are all identical, all female, and all born from eggs laid by the queen. Most of the worker bees are tasked with food collecting. These are the ones we see flying in and out of flowers. Others are charged with feeding the queen, some with the hive itself, and some act as undertakers. Undertakers are those who take care of dead bodies of bees. The queen fertilizes eggs for the next 2 to 7 years. The pregnant queen will lay up to 2,000 eggs in a day. Unbelievably, more than her own body weight. وزن جسمها. Bees do very little harm, but a great deal of good. A great deal of something means يعني much of something. So look at these questions after the text and let's read them together quickly. What are bees responsible for? As I said, you can find the answer near the abbreviation Q1. And you have like two paragraphs telling us about the main responsibilities or the main duties of bees or main benefits to us. 2. How many plants are pollinated by bees? Also, you may find the exact number or approximate number in the text near the abbreviation Q2. 3. Why are bees attracted to flowers? So look where attraction is mentioned and you can find the answer to this question near Q3. 4. How is honey made in a hive? Also look at this paragraph which is called honey. So it is all about the process of how bees make honey. So just write it in some short, simple sentences. Number 5. Give us a simple explanation of the colony structure in 3 sentences of your own. Look at underlined sentences and Q5. يعني طلعوا على Q5 وفي هناك الخطوط تحت الجمل عن البي سوسايتي وتقدروا تكتبوهم وبيطلعوا 3 جمل جواب لهذا السؤال. Task number 6. Find one word in the passage that means a sweet liquid secretion that attracts bees. احنا حكينا في اشي زي يعني زي غبرة وفي اشي liquid سائل. How do we call this secretion? Write the word. And bee, a group of animals of the same type living together. مش حكينا عن البيز that they have and they live in colony. صح? So this word is colony. Number 7. What does the underlined word refer to? So the underlined word is some. So look what is before this word. Others are charged with feeding the queen, some with the hive itself and some act as undertakers. So who are these others? You can read also the previous sentences. Most of the worker bees. يعني ممكن تشوف الجملتين قبل هذا الكلمة عشان نعرف عن إيش بتحكي الكلمة some عن أي أنواع النحل. Most of the worker bees are tasked with food collecting. يعني these some refer to worker bees. بس اكتبوا worker bees عند هديك السؤال. And finally here we have a speaking task. But we are going to take the questions that I have mentioned in the beginning of our lesson. يعني هون ما رح نكتب الجواب لهدول الأسئلة. أنا كتبت لكم الأسئلة في بداية الحصة وكمان الموجودات في خطة أسبوعية تبعتنا عن البيز وبدي إياكم تصوروا تسجيل الصوت أو فيديو وانتوا بتحكوا يعني جاوبوا الأسئلة اللي أنا كتبت لكم بالخطة الأسبوعية. So this is all for today. Thank you very much for watching the video and I'm looking forward to your homework. Bye bye. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow.